Tony, a lot of times you and I have to worry about what's wrong with the plant. But the holidays, we don't worry about that.
No, we're going to enjoy the beauty of the plants. We're going to bring the beauty of the plants inside a lot of times and around your home so people can see the beauty of the nature.
And that's why we have plants and worry about them, because they do give us so much joy. And it is fun to bring them inside and use them. They don't have to just be out in the yard. And I think it's fun to use real things at Christmas.
Me too. I've always loved to use real things because that goes back all the way to the beginning, man.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And Tony, you've made some things ahead of time. You made a swag that's behind you and used longleaf pine.
Yeah, it's so easy. You just go cut the top side of some pines or the top side of the branches and just wire them together real good with some good heavy wire.
Heavy gauge wire.
Heavy gauge wire. That makes the difference so it doesn't fall apart on you.
And then I made a wreath yesterday.
Yeah, wreaths are a little bit more difficult. It takes a while.
And you're going to show people how to make a wreath.
Yeah.
And it took me about an hour, believe it or not. But that was because I was using so much different plant material. I think we're going to do kind of a shortcut today. And people can do whatever suits them. And then people love red berries.
I love berries too because they really show out through this time of year, and red is the color. And actually in that swag we have two different types of berries and they just kind of blend together.
They're beautiful. And sometimes the more you use, the more interesting it is. It kind of depends if they're going to see it from far away or up close. Up close you can use more stuff. If it's from far away you might just want to keep it simple.
Yeah, people, especially if they're riding up down the road, you want to get something big, you don't want anything real small. And like swags are wonderful to put on your windows if you especially got a lot of windows around your house.
Well, Tony, you're going to show people how to make a wreath. And the first thing that I do, you can find these wreath forms at the craft stores.
Yep.
And the first thing you want to do is spray paint it black.
That's right, to keep seeing that wreath form up under everything, and that kind of just...
It's full of straw and wrapped with plastic, so
Yeah.
just spray paint it black. And I take it out in the road and I spray the top, and then when it's dry, at the end of the driveway, I flip it over, because the asphalt's already black. So that's easy.
right.
But you're always going to get a little bit on your
little bit on your hand.
That just happens. And then you want to have wreath pens, isn't that what we call them?
That's right. They're real nice. They work real well. You can put a lot of plant material on there inside of that pen, and it'll hold it on without it just falling apart.
And you need, so we've got the wire, and we've got our clippers, and we're just going to get started. So I think you're going to start. I'm
going to start while you talk about the plants a little bit. Now, me and you both, we have different ways of doing things. So that's, we can show the people how to do different things, different ways. And I'm just going to start, and you can talk about the plants.
Okay. So right now, you are using a, probably a Bracken's Brown Beauty, probably.
That's right.
And this is a wonderful magnolia for us to have, and it has this beautiful brown back that just makes it so pretty, and a beautiful front. And then we also have another magnolia that's very popular called Little Jim magnolia. Now Little Jim, Bracken Brown Beauty is going to be 40 feet tall eventually.
That's right.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Big old
Big
tree.
old fella. And so don't plant it too close. It needs to be off and have good air circulation. Little Jim is smaller, but it's certainly not just a little foundation plant.
It's still, one out of the PD Rec is actually up into the signs a little bit. It got a little bit too tall on us.
But I'd say in 10 years, maybe 15, 20 feet, would you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do get big. But the nice thing about Little Jim is it has a much smaller leaf, and so if you have a smaller need for smaller plant material, this one fits in better. This one still has the beautiful magnolia cone on it too, just beautiful. Now red berries, we talked a little bit about them, and this one, Tony, is one that is pretty big in the landscape.
Nellie R. Stevens.
Nellie R. Stevens. And how tall would you think it gets?
It gets about 20 feet total when it gets real old.
And Tony, you know, when people sometimes don't want to cut, but actually when you make a heading cut, when you just cut in the middle of a stem, and not back where two stems come together, it makes the plant fuller. So you don't feel like you're going to make your plant skimpy by cutting on it.
You're not going to hurt the plant at all, actually. Actually, it makes, like you say, a nicer plant.
And then this one, I think, is particularly beautiful. It has a much smaller leaf and more pointed, more interesting leaf to me.
Foster #2 Holly.
And is this going to be like a tree?
Yep, it's going to grow up more like a tree, and a lot of people have it at one stem going straight up, and it can get pretty tall. I remember at our church we had to prune it off the side of the shingles. It got so big.
Okay, and then over by you, I'm going to slip under you. We've got a beautiful native, and this is just a glorious holly.
Oh, I love Yopons, and they're so tough. They're the toughest plant on the face of the earth.
It has a very interesting scientific name. Ilex Vomitoria.
That's right.
Because it was used by the indigenous people to make some purge-like drinks in the springtime. But you could make a great tea out of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. But Ilex Vomitoria. Okay. And then Tony, you love Nandina berries, and they are perfectly beautiful too.
Oh, I love Nandinas. Yeah, they just hang down in these big old clusters, very clustered.
Okay. So Tony, let's flip that back over and talk for a minute about what you were doing.
I've just put them face up, so when you turn it over, you've got a nice round outside, and it kind of sets everything off in the back of it.
And you are real strong, Tony, but when I push things down into this, sometimes my fingers aren't as strong, and I'll use my clippers to push it on down in there too. So I'm just letting people know that, because it can be kind of, these are tough. I mean, they're real solid.
They're real hard. Yeah, that's so they'll hold the pins in. Yeah. If they weren't real tough, they wouldn't hold the pins in as well.
So right now, Tony, you're using some filler, and this is a beautiful plant that was actually developed here in Sumter by Booth Chilcott, a forester. And it's called Carolina Sapphire, and you can use it as a Christmas tree. It's a native Cupressus arizonica.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess it's out from there. What I love about it is the fragrance.
It is. It's wonderful.
And it doesn't dry out. It holds up so well in the house. This one is seeded, which makes it even more exciting, I think. It's perfectly beautiful. So you're using that on the middle, so you're going to end up with the magnolia on the outside, and then this on the inside, and I bet you might even put a little bit of other stuff in it. We'll see what Tony does.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can
and
get
that's
creative.
Good. You can be creative.
You can get really creative and put all kind of things in there.
And I'm going to talk about a few other things. Tony, not everybody has the PV rec.
That's right.
To go and cut plant material.
That's right.
And so yesterday I actually went to Columbia and went shopping. These fancy grocery stores they have now have buckets of plant material.
Oh, wow.
That are Christmassy.
I'm from McBee. I don't know about that.
Well, well, they didn't used to. And so you can go to Columbia or wherever near you where those fancy stores are and get some buckets of plant material. So I'll show you some of what I got there. And I don't even know what some of them are. This is some kind of conifer, and I like it because it's got a lighter color, which I think is kind of fun.
And that's the important thing. If you put a plant in your yard, name it. So you keep the name of it, because sometimes it's hard to tell one from the other.
You're right about that. And then I think this is some kind of Christmas tree, maybe a spruce, I'm not sure. The things that don't grow here.
Yep.
And that's one reason that sometimes you like to go and buy them. And then also, Tony, this is a very tightly formed eastern red cedar, I believe. Mm-hmm. And when you and I were coming along, that was all we had for Christmas trees.
That's right. We'd go out and collect them, and that was the most memorable day of the year, to go out and collect the Christmas tree.
Yeah, it sure was fun, and we used to call them a ditch bank cedar. And then, Tony, another thing I was thinking of that would be fun is to, sometimes you want to brighten things up. So let me
we got so much stuff here. There's so much you can get.
Whoops.
It's just amazing, all the different
And you're going to make a
plants.
mess in your kitchen when you do this. If it's a warm day, I
Go
go
out
on the
to
back
the shop
porch.
if you can.
Well, I don't have a shop, but I go out on the back porch and do it on top of the washing machine. But Tony, one thing I thought that was kind of fun was to think about using some eucalyptus, because look at the, we'd get such a, the contrast, especially if we had just magnolia. I thought it might be kind of fun.
What I can do is put it here and let it just kind of stick up.
And you could even, if you wanted to, you could kind of put it down a little lower,
and cover it,
and have it get a little three-dimensionality. Did I say that right?
You did. That's
close
great.
enough.
Close enough for
And then
McBee.
also,
that's it.
These fancy stores have all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, nice
and
eucalyptus.
look at that.
It's a different one.
This is called seeded eucalyptus, and I would actually take these leaves off because I don't know how well they dry. and just use the seeds. So I'm going to give you a little bit of this just so people can see how pretty that would be mixed in.
Isn't
that pretty?
Again, you can just kind of mix it in.
Yeah.
And bring it in. And you just, that's anything you want to stick on there.
And while you keep on doing that, I'm going to show them how they can hang it up, because that's important too. So what I do, and I'm going to pull up another wreath form that I've got, talk a little bit about it. If you want to, you can cover part of your wreath with ribbon.
Oh, I love that ribbon on the outside too. And then you don't have to put so much plant material, and it takes less time, and you just let it shine from underneath.
That's right, and you can use this for your bow. So I like to do that, and when I do that, again, I just start by putting the wreath pen in and let that anchor my ribbon and wrap it around as much as you want to.
Oh, wow.
I think that's kind of fun. But to hang this up, what I like to do is, this is going to be the back, and I just take my wreath pen and stick it in kind of upside down, like that, because that way it won't pull out.
That's right.
And then I get a piece of really strong wire, because wreaths can be heavy when they're finished, can't they?
They sure can,
Yeah.
especially if you got a lot of plant material on there.
So I'm going to cut this, and you want to cut the wire at the where the blades come together, so you don't ruin your blade. Because this, and then I just take my wire and I slip it up through this, Tony, and then I twist it like so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I can hang it.
That's nice. That'll hold real well.
Yeah, I think it
keep
will.
from
Yeah.
falling.
And I usually do that before I start, so I don't have to squish my plant material as I get towards the end. And then, Tony, some things do hold up better. Oh, this is looking beautiful, Tony.
It is.
Yeah,
It's starting
it
out
really
really
is.
nice.
Yeah. And I was thinking, if you wanted to, you might want to put a little bit of that little gem on the inside.
On the
Let's
inside,
see how that
a little bit
looks.
smaller. And I do have little
Oh, the cone.
cones on there, and they're really nice.
Because by the time you finish, you want to be sure that when this hangs up, you won't see any of this. Okay.
I'm gonna like that. I'm gonna go the other way.
And look how exciting it is now to have this brown material mixed in. Tony, I think we've showed that it does take a while to make a wreath, but it's so rewarding.
It is. It's somewhat good to use the natural things out there, and you're bringing the outside in, Amanda.
And Tony, I want to thank you for all the beautiful things you brought to show our viewers what they can do if they plant them in their yard. But if you don't have them, you can shop and find things, so don't feel like you get a pass. We're going to have everybody using natural material.
That's right. It's that brighten up the house through the holidays, Amanda.
And a happy holiday to you.
Happy holidays, Amanda.